Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you all about how you can remain classy whilst you're single. I think there's a thing about when some people are single, there's an air of desperation about them, and then they start sliding in the things that are acceptable and the things that they might do with somebody else and the behaviors that they have. So with that, let me get into the video, but let me quickly introduce myself if you are new here. My name is Nicole. I typically post videos on this channel about how you can DIY some of the things on your level up journey at home, and then that leaves space for you to go and do other things with maybe a coach, a counselor, or even going in and seeing a professional for certain type of beauty and aesthetic treatments. I think when we can get ourselves to a standard and get ourselves to a bare minimum level that allows us to receive the help from professionals in a lot more of a receiving way, that then we are able to then take that support from them and go so much farther than if we went in there at a deficit. Hopefully that makes sense. So with that, let me get into today's video. I learned a lot from my single years, and I hope any of you that are watching this can maybe learn from some of my mistakes and thrive in this season of singleness a lot better than I did. Now, with saying all of that, I do think that I heard this quote many years ago, and it was like, you live life forwards, but you understand it backwards. And I think it is so true, because it's very easy to look back on your life and say, I wish I did that better, or I wish I knew that. But the thing is that we can only live life forward, and you only start to understand maybe some of your missteps by taking action and moving forward. So I do think that you should have some patience and grace with yourself, because you are never going to figure out what works and what doesn't if you are not moving forward. And sometimes moving forward means that you make a mistake. Now, the key word that I just said there is mistakes. We must learn from our mistakes. I am somebody that got on a little bit of a cycle where I kept on making the same mistake over and over again. But have you ever heard the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I would often look at my dating experiences and say, well, why is this happening to me, but this isn't happening to so-and-so? And I became very analytical about the areas of my life, and it was almost like I was adding up math, and I was like, okay, if I do this plus this plus this and it's resulting in this, I have to change some variable of that equation. So learning from your mistakes is going to be absolutely paramount, especially in your season of singleness, because your season of singleness can have importance. Your season of singleness can have a purpose to it. But I do think that it is so important to acknowledge that during our seasons of singleness, we have to look at maybe our areas of mistakes and concerns from the past and rectify them before we go into a season of being partnered with somebody. So I myself have had 2 long-term relationships. The first one was an absolute disaster. And then I was single for 3 years before I met my now husband, Paul. And I do think that during that 3 years of me being single was like absolutely paramount to my next relationship being a success. Now, I don't think that someone has to necessarily take a certain amount of time in between their relationships, but I do think that it is important in between relationships to really understand who you are, what makes you tick, why certain things meant more to you and why certain things didn't mean a lot to you. The thing is that I can ask maybe my best friend something, and she might give me a completely different answer than what I would think for myself, because we're all coming into the situation with different advantages, different disadvantages, maybe different religions, different morals, different values, and therefore you have to understand what works for you. And I think you cannot do that unless you actually know you. Like, do you know you? Do you know what makes you tick? I think that is one of the biggest problems when people jump from relationship to relationship and they never have the time to honor who they are or even get to know who they are. So for me, that was something paramount, and I feel like I was able to do the self-work in that 3 years to set my next relationship up for success. I also feel like you never really know more of what you do want until you've seen what you don't want. So I think that's another thing that was useful for me in my season of singleness, was that I reframed my singleness in my mind, and I reframed my terrible experience with my ex-partner, and I started looking at it from a standpoint of, you know what, as much as that as much as that was a terrible experience, I never would have known more of what I want right now if I didn't go through what I just went through. And that showed me very bluntly, blatantly, it made it very black and white. This is what I don't want and this is what I do want. And I feel like I was then able to go into my next relationship with a laser focused mindset and a laser focused ideal of what I was looking for in a partner. So here's my first tip in regards to staying classy when you are single. That is to not touch a hot stove twice. Ladies, I hope you know what I mean by that. I think it's very easy for us to go back to past situations that aren't serving us, especially when we're a little bit lonely and we're a little bit sad. Furthermore, I do think that if you are working on yourself and you are honoring the habits and the interests that you have, you won't be bored and you won't have time to get lonely. It's about walking the tightrope between being too busy, but then also being busy enough. This is a fine balancing act to walk, because again, if you are too busy, I don't think that is a very classy look or a very elegant look. Furthermore, how do you expect someone to, you know, show up in your life if you're being too busy to even allow them space into your life? But I do think it is a balancing act. I literally want you to look at this as a tightrope that you're walking in your mind that is going to allow you to, you know, be balanced in being busy enough but not too busy. The next tip that I have for you is I want you to understand that our emotions can be so easily conned. Many years ago, probably about 5-6 years ago now, one of my pastors gave a sermon on this, on how we shouldn't be led by our emotions. Our emotions are a good indicator of what is going on in here, but furthermore, our emotions can be so easily conned. And I think that's a part of our human makeup. I mean, if you think about it, if you're watching a movie and you have got a crazy, anxious, scared feeling, you feel that way, but you're actually not in any type of threat. You are not really needing to be in any type of fear, yet you feel that fear in that moment. So I think when you understand, you know what, my emotion is being conned in this moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is an actual threat at hand or that I should actually be sad about something. I think when you fully grasp that, that allows you to like feel the emotion, but not necessarily become victim to that emotion. Now, the next thing that I want to speak to, I feel like depending on who finds this video, you might like it, you might not like it. I was not a virgin. I was somebody who dated around. I do not have a squeaky clean history in the slightest, and that is not for me to air out my dirty laundry. That is for me to just quickly let you know where I'm coming from. However, I feel like I'm somebody who has seen both sides of the coin because I didn't have a squeaky clean image before this. But I truly do believe that why would someone buy the cow when they can get the milk for free? I do want to follow that up with saying I don't just mean that in a sexual sense. I mean that also from the standpoint of if you are going to go to a guy's house and play house for him and do everything that a wife would do, why do you expect him to put a ring on your finger? I don't think that you should be doing wife things if you aren't a wife yet. Why would someone buy the cow when he can get the milk for free? I don't make these rules, but I have come to learn to abide by it. And I think it's when you have a certain standard and a certain, way that you live your life. Even if you think about this way, you might hear tons of like course creators say this. Maybe it's just me because I operate a lot in the online space, but so many people will say, you know, I have this guide, I'm marking it at $5. I'm obviously not going to get rich off of the $5, but when you have skin in the game, when you invest, you're more likely to do this. You're more likely to implement the things that I have put in this guide. And that could be no more true. I came out with an online course this year and I gave it to some people complimentary and I made some people pay for it. Would you believe that the people that I gave it to free, they have not done that course, but yet the people that paid for the course have gone through the program. I can see on the back end, I can see the computer analytics to see who has gone through the course and who hasn't. And the people that I gave the course to for free are the people who have not done the course. They have not put in that work because they didn't need to. There is something to be said about getting the milk on the cow for free. Again, the next point is going to be a little bit controversial. I feel like especially to UK viewers, but hookup culture is not healthy. I don't know when people started telling themselves this lie of like, yeah, I'll just sleep around and I'll just hook up with him and yeah, we're both, it's just like a fling. It's not a fling. I think as women, we just get so invested, and then you start thinking, maybe I can change him, or he's saying this, so maybe is he hinting at, does he want more? No, like hookup culture is like the most unhealthy thing. And again, if you follow me over on Instagram, I'll have it linked right here for you or in the description box. You would know for the last 3 years, every new season of Love Island that comes out, I'm like, no, 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 because this is not producing a healthy mindset in regards to dating, and this is not real life. And if this was real life, you would be saying that that guy's a dog, etc., and you would not want to be treated like this. So why are we glorifying a program like this, and then when they come off of the program, you idolize them on social media? Like, it does not make sense to me. Furthermore, I know I just talked about Love Island, and you know, that's something that is more known about here in the UK, but my American and Canadian friends, The Bachelor does this as well. I've never been able to get on board with The Bachelor, and yeah, I'm not gonna go into it too much, but it's so silly. And I do think that we are what we eat, and when we watch these shows, it's like we are eating these shows, and we are eating the culture and the connotations that go into these shows. And these shows very much put hookup culture on a pedestal, and it's not healthy. The next thing that I want to speak to in regards to remaining classy while still single is be honest, but still keep some air of mystery about yourself. I personally think it's very easy for people to drop the boundaries of familiarity when they start dating someone. Maybe, I think sometimes what it comes down to is when someone starts having relations with somebody else, I think they think, oh, well, he's already seen me without makeup on. Oh, he's already seen me in the shower, or, you know, he's seen me at my most bare situation. And then all caution gets thrown against the wind, and they just stop doing certain things. And I think that we still need to maintain a level of mystery about ourselves when single and in dating. I think when you are honest about where you're at when you are single, it helps you get farther, especially if you are starting to talk to someone. Equally, I have seen so many girls, and I have been that girl, that, you know, I'm single and I'm honest about wanting to get into a relationship, but then I say I'm single and but like I'm okay with like getting into a relationship, but you know, my last guy did da 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 to me, and that made me do blah 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 blah. And it's like, you don't need to go into all of that. There still can be an air of mystery about you. I'll be honest, my husband didn't know certain things about my past until, well, wow, we were already married, because it wasn't pertinent for him to know. And it's not that I don't feel like there was any type of dishonesty, but there can still be an air of mystery about you, and you still maintain your honesty and your integrity. The next thing that's going to allow you to remain classy whilst you're in your season of singleness is remaining soft. I think often when we are single, I think we fall into a few camps. You are single and you are happy. You are single and you are not happy. And you're single and you are damaged. And I think when we are damaged, we can get very hard and very calloused and very bitter towards our previous situation. I think when we're single and we're not happy, maybe, you know, you don't want to be single anymore and you're not finding someone, or you don't feel like there's very many options. And then you get this kind of like Eeyore, like, oh, everything is bad mentality to it. And that is not attractive and it's not classy. And then, you know, there's people that are really joyous and are making the most out of their singleness. But I think if you can remain soft during your season of singleness, that is going to allow things to be sewn into you that you would not believe. And I think it will ultimately keep you a lot more classy during this season of life. The next thing that I want to speak to is, I guess it's going to be a little bit more applicable if you consider yourself to be a homemaker, but I think that there's certain skills and habits that you can start cultivating in your season of singleness that is going to allow you to be set up for success for when you do find a partner. So whether that is, you know, making lunches, taking care of the things in the home, etc., these things take discipline, these things take time, and if you can start cultivating and curating that now, I think you'll be set up for success when you do get in a relationship. Last but not least, the last thing that I want to talk to you about in regards to remaining to be classy in your season of singleness is surrounding yourself with great girlfriends that will show you a positive example of what being single looks like. I think it is very easy for people to go off the rails when they become single. And again, that kind of goes back to if they are single and they're happy, if they're single and they're unhappy, and if they're single and they're damaged. And I think often when people are single and unhappy, they start adapting certain qualities that is to often get them out of their season of singleness, but then that can also lead to very desperate habits and very bad habits. Furthermore, if they are single and they're damaged, I think that there's going to be certain coping mechanisms that they might find themselves doing in order to not feel the pain of the damage that they are currently dealing with. So I think when you can surround yourself with other girlfriends that are in a season of singleness that is healthy, I think that can be something that is so encouraging and so uplifting. How do you remain classy when you are single or when you were single? I know there was a few things for me that I definitely stuck to, a lot of them that I have referenced or given a little bit of a nod to in this video, but I would love to hear from you. If you feel so inclined to do so, I would love if you left me a little comment about how you navigate this season of life in the comment section, or how you navigated this season of life in the comment section. Furthermore, if you don't feel like this is something you want to talk about on a public domain, do feel free to message me on Instagram. I am always free and open to talk over there as well. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. I hope you have considered subscribing to this channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.